these are very consultant things that happen, And it has always bothered me because in marketing specifically, this has become a proper consultant thing. Like marketing consultants will do this, which is come up with absolute bullshit theory. Prakhar, how's the podcast going where you are cheating on us?
सेम चीज वो लोग भी बोल सकते हैं वैसे
बट नहीं बोला ना.
No, but we are the ones who started first.
We started first, but discussion वहाँ पहले से चल रहा था. But I was interested in this one since a very long time. But Kapau's podcast was also not our own idea. It was basically given like a task to us by the agency.
For context, Prakhar is in a band. Prakhar is a drummer in a band called Kapau. And Kapauing is Kapau is going big places now to new places, touch wood.
That's the sound of touching wood.
Ew, Sandy, what was going on there?
Touching wood. That's what was going on there.
Okay, we're going to start with, on that beautiful note, we're going to start with...
Let's all touch wood once again.
No, ew, shoot. We're going to start with the topic. Okay, so it's not as serious as last time. And it's not as serious as what I usually talk about also. But I will be ranting about them because it really bothers me. But anyway, today's topic, okay? So this comes from essentially my, my experience with business schools plus these stupid corporate trainings that you have. Thankfully, I don't have them anymore. But this is not even fun. These are like these are very consultant things that happen, And it has always bothered me because in marketing specifically, this has become a proper consultant thing. Like marketing consultants will do this, which is come up with absolute bullshit theories, okay? It's their version of BuzzFeed quizzes. You know those quizzes, are you an orange or an apple, sort of, and present them as if they know what they're talking about.
What are you though? What do you think you are?
Fuck no, Sandy. And literally all of them are useless. And somehow management consultants, business schools have latched onto them, like absolutely refuse to give up on this nonsense theories, the SWOT and the PESTEL and all of those, okay? So I have taken the 4 that pisses me off the most. Okay? And we are going to talk about the 4 of them. Starting with my favorite. Have you heard of Myers-Briggs type indicator, MBTI? Yeah, it is that personality types, the ESTG, or people put it up on their LinkedIn profiles. I'm ESTG or I'm INFP and all of those.
Yeah, and they're very proud of it.
And they're very proud of it, yes. And see, for fun, it is okay, right? What bothers me is what happens with it, the way it is taken so seriously. I was reading about corporate trainings being done on the basis of your quote-unquote personality type. So now let's break this down. What happened? Okay, this was it was created by this mother-daughter duo called Catherine Cook Briggs, the mother, and the daughter Isabel Briggs Myers, right? And they were, so basically the mother, Catherine, she was inspired by Carl Jung's this psychological types, right? The Jungian theory, right? I looked up Wikipedia, what it says in the book, in Psychological Types book by Carl Jung. It says, Jung proposes 4 main functions of consciousness, 2 perceiving or non-rational functions, which are sensation and intuition, and 2 judging or rational functions, which are thinking and feeling. So that's how even the MBTI characteristics are divided, right? I've written this down. Extraversion versus introversion, sensing versus intuition, so how you process information, thinking versus feeling, because of course if you think you can't feel, if you feel you can't think, right, as we all know, and then judging versus perceiving, right? So very, very binary. And it comes from this Jungian theory of psychological types, right? And Jung himself then modified these functions, the perceiving functions and the judging or rational functions, by two main attitude types, which is extraversion and introversion, right? Here comes the problem. One, these ideas themselves were theoretical. Essentially, like all psychological theories being developed, and I think somebody more qualified should talk about that. But at that point of time, they were bases, right? On the basis of which things were discussed and formed, and you would understand that it's not a binary. It's basically giving a sort of a guardrail in which to think, right? But Catherine and Isabel took that to a proper personality type development. Now, what happened at that point of time?
When was this, and
When
who were
was
they?
this?
What was their background?
They did not have a psychology background. Okay, they were. I think Isabel, I think, still studied psychology later, but they didn't have a psychological background. But not many people did at that time. I think it was the 20s or 30s. I don't know the time period. Not many people did. And they were actually otherwise very well educated. But nobody took them seriously because, sexism. So at that time, they were not taken seriously. It was much later that their process was developed. In fact, I was reading somewhere that they did not even develop the questionnaire. It was more of they did not say that this is binary. They wanted to make it more expansive and more, again, as a guardrail. But management consultants apparently did this. Now, here comes the basic scientific problem, right? Why this doesn't stand up, okay? So there's an organizational psychologist at Wharton, Adam Grant, quite famous, right? He says that in social science, we use 4 standards. You have to check if these categories that have been created, judging versus perceiving, yada yada, are these reliable, valid, independent, and comprehensive. And he says, for the MBTI, the evidence says not very, no, and not really. Okay? So if you break it down also, right, if you check reliability, there are many studies done with the MBTI, and they show that about 50% of the people who participate, if they take the test in the next 5 weeks, their personality changes. Which is like, you cannot have that, So it depends essentially
Unless
on
they
the
are
mood.
schizophrenic or,
50%?
Sure.
Where do you think the sample size is coming from, Sandy?
They're only 50% schizophrenic.
Nonsense. So obviously it is not reliable at all. You repeat a scientific experiment in different areas, and in different areas it is giving you different results. So it's nowhere near scientific, right? Then validity also. Validity is that it measures what it claims, right? That is what validity of an experiment would be. It doesn't, because there are no binaries in personalities. You cannot say that a person is only judging and not perceiving, or a person is only perceiving and not judging. That's a weird bifurcation to do. And in fact, depending on the context of what is going on in life, you would treat that differently, right? And it actually reminds me of a conversation my sister and I had, where she was talking about and we had just discovered it, that in some cultures, it is okay for parents to be naked in front of the children, right? Or to, take a bath as a family or something. And to my mind, that is horrifying. So I was like, no, I cannot. So immediately judgment, right? And in my head, I was like, I cannot deal with the idea of an adult being naked in front of a child. I think that is too close to harassment and assault. And in my head, I cannot digest that. So I am very, very judging in this respect. I'm not perceiving anything. But I might be, for example, with climate action. There's so much discussion. Every time I feel I have found something which is a good solution, I get to know 1,500 other things that are actually contributing to the climate crisis in the same solution. So solution is not really a solution, right? Which is happening with the EV industry. So There I'm more perceiving because I'm learning, I'm not judging anything, I'm sitting down and I'm understanding. So no person has just a binary that I am just fully a judgmental person and I'm fully a perceiving person. That doesn't happen. And that's what Myers-Briggs does. The whole issue comes about when you take this and you apply it to corporate situations or any situation. Man, if you want to have fun with it, that's fine. But I don't see the point of using this in training, in hiring. I think hiring is very risky. You're creating more bias in hiring positions, that in sales positions you only want, the extraversion personality. But what if the person's personality test shows different? Right? It's so random, right? It is not based on any valid material.
I get that. But this is just my personal opinion. I feel why people enjoy doing stuff like this is because there's this sense of I belong to so and so category, and there are other people also in that category. That I guess that's a feeling of belonging in some weird way. I guess that you're part of this collective who are of the same personality type as you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Maybe it is self-validating. That this is what
possibly.
I think about myself, and this is what the test also says. But yeah, absolute nonsense. You want to have fun with it, I am fully in support of it. Okay, go ahead, have fun with it. Don't apply it to places where there are real world consequences. That is just a nonsense thing to do. And I have seen far too many people who take it seriously. So that's a problem. Okay. So that was the first one. The second one is, oh my God, this is the favorite of business schools. The number of times I have heard of this dumbass concept. Actually, to be fair, the concept is not dumbass at all. If it was taken in its original sense, it's actually really good. It's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've seen that pyramid?
Yeah.
Okay, so physiological needs like food, water, blah, blah, blah is right at the bottom. Above that is what it says, safety needs. You live in a place free of crime, no violence, etc. Then above that is love and belonging. Above that is esteem. And then right above that, the peak is self-actualization. So it's the spiritual growth of sorts. It's where you give back and all of that.
Where Sadhguru is right now.
Sadhguru is very much in his physiological needs. Let's not. So, this is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I had once put up a post on LinkedIn talking about how this is absolute nonsense. Okay? The pyramid, in terms of how it is used in marketing. My God, people got so pissed off at me. I have never had so many people engage with me. It was like literally everybody started explaining what Maslow's hierarchy of needs are. One professor of marketing sent a diagram on the post. Like, I was like, this is getting really weird because and my only question was, what's the use? You say, okay, our customers are here and I am targeting this need. Good for you. Now what? So that was my key problem with this hierarchy of needs. Turns out there's far more problems, okay? Which is just a fun discovery. So basically what's the background? This gentleman called Abraham Harold Maslow. He was an American psychologist. He created this HON or hierarchy of needs, right? And how he defines it is theory of psychological health predicted on fulfilling innate human needs in priority, culminating in self-actualization. Now, interesting part is Maslow didn't actually create the pyramid. He just said these are our different needs. You cannot, and then he started discussing in details how a person absolutely must have his physiological needs fulfilled. Otherwise, you cannot talk about self-actualization when the physiological needs are not fulfilled and everything. There was no pyramid. The theory in itself has problems, which are that they don't understand a lot of different... They're honestly, from a very capitalist point of view, they don't understand a lot of cultural nuances, which is a different discussion altogether, because in Maslow's era, nobody, like, white people didn't... Well, they didn't care about anybody else. I don't know.
Don't.
I don't know if now they do. So Maslow didn't create this, okay? What happened was, so in the 1950s, there was this sort of a psychologist, Douglas McGregor. He was interested in psychology, okay? He was also involved in business. He brought it into management studies, but still at that time, the pyramid was not formed. Then there was this gentleman called Charles McDermott in the 1960s. He was a psychological consulting psychologist for a business firm called Humber, Mundy and McClary. I don't care if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Like, white people fuck up my name all the time. So he was a consulting psychologist, basically a business consultant, who just put it in this pyramid form. It was never meant to be in this pyramid form. What it did from there on, what management consultants did, true to their, their reputation and their stereotype, is they took a really important complex, tried to simplify it into a framework which didn't work. Okay? And which till today doesn't work, but it just keeps getting repeated over and over and over again, especially in bloody marketing, where every marketing consultant will come up with, oh, your product is placed in this, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs in this area. What the fuck do I do with it? Now what? You tell me that my product is fulfilling the self-esteem needs of my client. Now, okay. It's a dumbass concept, right? It does absolutely fucking nothing. But it is somehow preferred by these guys. And it's been simplified. The business schools took it. My God, my business school. I think in one of the electives, I really got pissed off at the professor. That why are we were talking about gamification. And there he was talking about this. And I was like, how is this helping? While developing the gamification of whatever you're developing, don't you know what need you're catering to? Nobody has an answer to how it is helping, to why the fuck should I even talk about it, but everybody wants to use it. Okay, thanks to management.
It's fancy. It looks good on a sheet of paper or in a presentation.
It looks shit on a sheet of paper.
No. If you make it nicely, use Canva. If you make it if you make it nicely, it looks good.
Not a sponsor.
Yes. Not a sponsor at all.
No, but it doesn't look good. It is too basic to impress anybody now. It's the consultant's, circle jerk. And the best part is, Maslow actually had clarified that this is a far more complex subject. So he said, most people are partially satisfied in all their basic needs and partially unsatisfied in all their basic needs at the same time. As I said, he had a white privileged person's perspective. This clearly was not the case and is not the case for a large population of the world that are struggling to meet their physiological needs. But if you talk about the urban privileged class people, yes, most people have most of their basic needs partially satisfied and most of their basic needs partially unsatisfied, and it's together. And basic needs also evolve. Even if it is food, water and shelter, the shelter that will be basic for us would be very different for a person who's making like 15 times the income of us, or somebody who's making significantly less money than us. So overall, management consultants have done a dumbass thing, and this is not the first or the last time that they have done that. Anyway, that was my second one, okay? Now we go to the third one. I'm sure you have heard of this. Have you heard of the 10,000 hour rule by
Malcolm Gladwell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this, Prakhar? Okay, this is fun, okay? Malcolm Gladwell wrote this book called Outliers. And as a musician, you will appreciate this. He said that basically, if you practice 10,000 hours of anything, that's how you become an expert in it. So this is a quote from the book. The idea that excellence at performing a complex task requires a critical minimum level of practice surfaces again and again in studies of expertise, right? And the studies of expertise that he refers to are essentially either anecdotal or one study that is done by Erickson Krampe and I hope again I'm saying this name correctly, Tesh Romer in 1993, which was called The Role of Deliberate Practice in the Acquisition of Expert Performance. So this was a real study. We will get to that, right? Let's talk about the anecdotal things that he talks about. Malcolm Gladwell talks about. So he talks about Beatles. And he says that Beatles, they played almost endless nights in the clubs and bars of Hamburg, Germany between 1960 and 64. That's what gave them far more number of hours. And he defines this number of hours as 10,000 hours, minimum 10,000 hours. Then he says Bill Gates, he had access to a computer in 1968 at the age of 13, when most of his peers, he goes on to say that most of his peers were playing and were, they like his imagination of children is very weird, like, brushing hair of dolls or something like that he was talking about, odd. But anyway, he said that that's what made Bill Gates, not the fact that he had access to literally IBM's board, but 10,000 hours, okay? Now, clearly anecdotal evidence means nothing, right? There might be a correlation, but it doesn't mean that that's what got them there. But let's talk about the actual research done, right, by this Erickson and gang. They did this study at Berlin Music Academy amongst elite violinists. And they saw that the best performers, on an average, accumulated 10,000 hours of deliberate practice by the age of 20. What is most important here? Two things. One, this was average of a particular group. It doesn't apply anywhere and everywhere, right? To become a violinist, there's a different type of skill required. There's a different skill required. Like, you can become a growth hacker in like 15 seconds because you don't really do anything. Anyway.
Now I'm not scared of any group of people because we've alienated every single one of them.
So anyway.
This episode is sponsored by fucking no one.
Yeah, so this was an average for one particular group, right? The second thing is, they very clearly found that it was deliberate practice. It wasn't just 10,000 hours of sitting and doing something. Malcolm Gladwell talks as if just practicing is going
with
to...
guidance or just practice?
Just 10,000 hours. That's his point.
No guidance, nothing.
Yeah, no, you're not
No external...
trying to get better, right? This is again the management consultant approach, right? That take a really complex subject, a really complex study, and then break it down into the simplest, most useless version possible. Like, just put in 10,000 hours and you'll be fine. No, friend, we don't know that. You cannot cross everything with just put in the minimum number of hours. That is a simplistic, dumbass view, a management consultant view of looking at something.
So the problem is that 10,000 hours being a benchmark.
Yeah.
Or you can basically keep on practicing and one day you might excel in it or you might not.
Yes, an unrealistic expectation being set. All of these, like MBTI, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then this one, then another one that we'll talk about in a bit. All of these are actually, if you look at the concept behind it, it's actually a far more complex subject. But the moment it came into management, the moment business schools tried to adopt it, they were like, how do we make this the most stupid and the most useless version possible?
I've also heard people say that if you do something continuously for 21 days, it becomes like a habit. I don't know if it's the similar thing that you have like a problem with, or like not
I do.
You, but like in general, there are issues with
these
concepts.
It has repeatedly been proven to not be true, right? That habit forming is not a matter of days. There are so many different aspects to habit forming. There is the psychological association you have, there is your circumstance, so many things. Not everything needs to be boiled down to the most simplistic version. It's okay, friends, to just think for a second. Like, your brain is not going to rot and die if you think, it's not going to spontaneously combust if you just be like, maybe this is not as simple as it sounds. Like, it's so unreasonable to make these frameworks. And all of these large ass consulting firms, they keep doing this. By definition, a strategy is supposed to be very, very specific to my business, my circumstance, my issues, my problem, my solution that I'm giving. Like, it's supposed to be very customized. There's no framework that you can just fit in, right? But somehow consulting has become that. somehow management consulting is always, and I have seen that in business schools also, in all seriousness, that we keep talking about these random theories, and there are actually very few frameworks that work well. For example, the business canvas. There is a business canvas framework, right, where you map out your revenues, your costs, your resources used, and everything. All of these frameworks, they cannot just be taken and put in anywhere. They require a lot of work from your end. It just is a structure that they're giving you. With 10,000 hours rule or whatever, hierarchy of needs, there's no structure that is given. It is just copy paste. It is just, you can just plug in whatever your product is or whatever your solution is to what the theory says. And you'd assume it works, ubiquitously everywhere. That is not true. That just doesn't happen. It's a lazy person's way out. You just don't want to think.
I have a very controversial question, वैसे.
By all means.
Why do people not like self-help books? What's the problem with self-help books?
Oh, I love this because it's fully bullshit.
Yeah.
Fully bullshit. You look at most self-help books can be blog pieces. They take one concept and then they go around it and round it and round it and round it for years. No, friend, just make a point and get on with it. Okay? And I was listening to this podcast. I don't remember which one. I think it was If Books Could Kill. Love it. Okay? They were also talking about it. So if you haven't listened to it, fantastic fucking podcast. Okay, they take all these self-help books and absolutely, completely nuke the fuck out of them. Like they will destroy them completely, and it's so much fun. They also say this, that they have this theory that it is actually just one point everybody is making. You're making repeatedly.
It's just that experience have been a little different, but the concept is the same.
It's the same, and it is not even a useful fucking concept. Like I remember this was telling me he had this book lying around. He just left it with me, called Grit. Okay, how passion and grit are the true secrets of success. Do you really need a 500-page book to tell you that? You don't know that perseverance and grit, resilience is what makes most people successful. When those who don't come from privilege. Is that really such a fantastic concept that you need to read a 500-page book because of it? So it's so basic that and also I feel like, I don't know if you have this problem, right? I have this problem. The concept is not a problem. It is the execution which is elusive, right?
Yeah. People like the execution part, not the not knowing maybe.
That's why I refuse to learn any concept.
You're fucking telling me?
I have read Eat Your Frog, Eat That Frog, I think. I've read that book, and while I was going through the entire thing, and as soon as I finished, I realized that I was making notes. And by the end, I realized these are things that I have been some way or the other, I have been doing it. Making maintaining a to-do list, or like prioritizing each work, like what needs to be done first. And then, so I realized that I have been doing that, a few things here and there, not exactly like all the things that they've mentioned, but it wasn't really something that I can take like a huge, inspiration from.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really helpful, but it made me realize that I've been doing this, and nothing else.
Exactly. That is it's basically it does nothing, right? And those who haven't, let's say the concept
to be fair, it helped him realize that he was already doing it.
That again did nothing. What is the point of the book? The point of the book is...
Basically, it can be a flyer, is what we're trying to say.
Like a reminder.
Yeah. And also, it doesn't really help anybody because Prakhar does it. I don't. Eat the Frog's concept is that whatever is your biggest, correct me if I'm wrong, whatever is your biggest problem, tackle that first, right? Prakhar already does that. I am a person who doesn't do that. Both of us have read this stupid ass book. Okay? He has realized
And I
that
haven't.
You haven't.
Yes.
Okay? But here the concept is the book helping or not helping, right? He has read it. He realizes he already does it. I read it. I realize I do not do it.
Yeah, no fair. I didn't read it. It didn't help me.
That is fair. That's the best category to be in. You know what did help? going to a fucking psychologist, taking medication for ADHD, and that is what helped in actually quote unquote eating that frog. So weird. It is
To be
just
fair, it's the first time I heard the name of the book.
you haven't missed anything.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so
I very rarely get FOMO.
that is true.
That is true. By the way, I had a question on that 21 days thing. So as soon as I read about that, in 2019, I met with an accident and had like the left hand. There were very like major muscle injuries that I had. So I had a lot of issues playing the drums because my right is quite fast than the left. It was, although before that the left one was also not as fast, but after the accident it became a little worse. What I did was that I started practicing like working out with my left hand and practicing more with my left hand to keep it at par with the right one. So I did that and it did really help me. But now I realized it happened also because I had like a knowledge of how to play drums, how to, practice certain things that you can use to improve your left hand. So in a way it helped, but I think you need to have like a little skill to go beyond that.
Do you know why it also helped? Grit.
Fair.
It's also like for some basic things, right? Like 21 days, maybe if you work out for a month straight or 21 days straight, you will see changes in your body. It is obvious, and that gives you motivation to continue working out. That is true. Let's not pretend that doing anything for 21 days is going to help you just make it muscle memory. That's not how bodies and minds function, man. It's laziness.
What if you do it for 20 days?
Oh my God, Sandy.
What, does it not work anymore?
It doesn't even work at 21 days.
No, it's a genuine question. What happens if you leave it on the 20th day?
Start again.
You start again? The count restarts? Well, that fucking sucks.
Anyway, now we go on to the fourth and the last one.
Ashmita would never be able to complete 21 days because you will forget on the 19th day.
I'll forget in between for sure.
You keep restarting only. पूरा साल निकल गया 21 दिन पूरे नहीं हुए मेरे.
10,000 के बाद.
हाँ, but 10,000 घंटे हो जाएंगे.
Like you have 10,000 hours in forgetting, so.
I do. And now I am an expert at it.
Yes, you're an expert.
Okay, anyway. The fourth one, which is the last one here, because we had to cut short the podcast and we had to like talk at a... I couldn't keep on talking, but I have problems with lots of such theories. This one is again one of the favorites of business schools, and this also appears in a lot of these random marketing consulting slides. Okay, you know those 3-year-old copywriters like who suddenly become marketing consultant.
What she means is copywriters with 3 years of experience.
Yes.
Not 3-year-old copywriters because there are none of them.
No. I have worked with one such consultant who was a copywriter for 3 years and then became quote unquote a marketing consultant who would give advice like, oh, podcasts don't work. Or maybe they don't, I don't know. Anyway, these random ass consultants who come up with absolutely nonsense concepts like these and put them in index. One of them is SWOT analysis. You know what's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
I think we all have done it at some point.
We all have.
All have done it.
I have put it in my school projects while laughing at myself. Like, what is the point of this? Okay, genuinely,
isn't
what is
all
the
of that
point?
very subjective? It's literally subjective. It's what you think is a strength,
That is
what you think is a weakness.
That's my first point. You ask two people
Yeah, the
in
SWOT will be
decision-making
different.
powers of the same company to put down SWOT, they will put different things. How is it helping anybody, right? And secondly,
But it does look good in a presentation.
it looks dumb. Anybody who knows their shit will not be
I've
sitting
seen
there.
people get impressed by the SWOT analysis.
You don't know people who know their shit then. It's not-
Obviously, that's why we're in a job.
That is true. But this is, anybody who knows their shit will not be sitting there. I mean, if you're giving a marketing presentation, right? I've never seen any marketer who actually knows what they're talking about. People I have learned from, people who have insulted me and who've been like, you don't know shit. Okay, those guys, they have never been impressed by a SWOT. And the question always is, fantastic, very good insight. What the fuck do we do with this? Oh, we are great at. We have a very good. Our what is that? Strength is that we have a collection of fantastic marketing assets that we can use in different places. Now, fucking what? You think your marketing team doesn't know that? What do we do with this?
But the marketing team is presenting that. No, they know. You don't know. They're
The
letting
marketing
you know.
consultant presents this.
Yes.
Internal marketing teams barely do this nonsense, man. At least I have not seen this. It is outside consultants who come in
Yeah, no.
and they're like, this is your SWOT. Amazing. Good for you. You're a fucking smart person. Now tell me, what the fuck do I do with this?
I use a SWOT analysis in almost every proposal I work
Oh,
on.
God. Why?
To fill up slides, to be very honest. And secondly, I don't know, for whatever reason, people are very easily impressed by a SWOT analysis.
That is so stupid. It is.
Yeah, I agree.
If anybody shows it to me, I'll be like, okay, now you tell me. Now you have to tell me. What do I do with this? Tell me how I implement
I don't
my
have to
SWOT.
tell that.
Then what's the point of SWOT? Why have you put it?
It gives us business.
No, we didn't get those business.
Then maybe take it out.
I'm sure it's not because of the SWOT analysis.
I don't know,
You
it
think
cannot be.
all our prospective clients are ghosting us because of the SWOT analysis?
I don't think it can be helping. Like even a single person is inside there who knows what's what, they'll be like, what the fuck
But
does
you'd be
this do?
surprised the number of RFPs that specifically call for a SWOT analysis.
So dumb. Who was this fucking idiot of a hiring manager?
Yes, name the company and the person and their mobile number also.
But basically, SWOT is a glorified checklist, right? Like, it really does nothing. Okay, there are certain cases where you sit down and think about, okay, how can I use this particular... I have certain constraints. How do I work with those constraints? And how can I use my strengths to overcome them? I don't know who developed this, okay? Like Maslow's and all, this doesn't have a clear... or I don't have that clear understanding. But if this was developed by management consultants, it was to bullshit. It wasn't developed for a good reason. It does nothing. Okay, anyway. I read a very interesting paper on this.
It was developed by someone called Albert Humphrey, a business and management consultant during the 1960s at the Stanford Research Institute.
Yeah. Management consultant. It was bullshit. Okay? I told you. There was no basis of this. But the study that I read, okay. Now, what this study did was they were working with some their version of white person's version of ASOCHAM, you know. Like not white person, like Western countries, someone of the Western countries.
She means like a chamber of commerce or something.
Yeah, one of them, right, for supply chain and all. And there were 50 companies that were a part of that chamber or association or whatever. And over 20 companies, they used SWOT involving 14 consulting companies. So 14 consulting companies consulted with these guys, and all of them built out the SWOT. Okay? What that study says. All the applications, all 20 of them, showed similar characteristics. Long lists, over 40 factors on average. General, often meaningless descriptions. A failure to prioritize. And no attempt to verify any points. 14 different consultants had the same result out of this. They all created something that fit this description. That literally nothing was going to come out of it. Okay? And another part that they said, I quote, but the most worrying general characteristic was that no one subsequently used the outputs within the later stages of the strategy process.
Yeah.
Okay, that is my problem with all of these. I have a lot of problems with all of these. But if it is, my primary problem is that if it is not going to be used, just tell me something useful. No, man, you're taking money for this service. No, just tell something that is fucking useful. Don't come back and be like, these are your strengths and weaknesses. Good on fucking you. Now what? What do I do with this? How do I take this and implement this in any goddamn strategy whatsoever? How do I don't know, improve my
That's
eco
what
score.
they'll use the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to tell you. That's the next slide.
So yeah, basically, all of these business theories, not just these four, right? There is this fuck all theory called Pestel, which is also a business school favorite. There's a political, economic, all the outside factors that you need to put into consideration, which are so fucking dynamic that by the time you have finished making your goddamn stupid ass slide, it has changed. So there's no use of that. All of these theories, they don't do anything. The only way to make a good strategy is actually to start from a blank page. It's to go back, look at, and I can say that from a marketing perspective, is to actually look at what your customers are already saying, do market diagnosis, figure out why your customers like your product or your service, why are they buying from you.
Basically, strength, weakness, opportunity.
But not randomly made by a fucking management consultant. Things that you have gone out, spoken with your customers, observed their behaviors. That's how you found that out. You don't just randomly put it on a goddamn slide that some intern made in 3 hours. No, friend. That is not helping anybody. Stop paying management consultants. Let them go bankrupt. Anything that is simplistically boiled down to a single slide, a single page, and simplistically boiled down is the key. A single slide is not the problem. Positioning is boiled down to a single slide, but it is arguably the most important step in marketing for the rest of your company's life, right? But it's the simplistic version that if this applies to X, then just, by the virtue of it applying to one narrow thing in one narrow circumstance, it applies to everything else, is the most unscientific thing that you could ever come up with. That is literally stopping an experiment at the hypothesis stage, right? That's just stupid. So if you're going to business school, kids, fight with your professor. Absolutely fucking challenge them on this, that who the fuck told you this works, and you show me one example where this has actually worked.
But if not these four, then what should they do? Like, I'm just asking if not this, then what should they really be doing? Because it's like we have created a space where they don't know what to do next. Like, they had something they know might just work. Now we've told them this doesn't work.
I mean, it starts with, okay, so again, let's say marketing, right? SWOT and Maslow's doesn't work in marketing, but that doesn't mean that the age-old theories of segmenting, targeting, positioning don't work, right? The implementation. I mean, there are actual scientific things that are proven. Take those. Don't listen to. Firstly, stop listening to management consultants. They know nothing. There's history that shows this, that they have repeatedly predicted wrong things. Repeatedly. So just stop listening to management consultants. Stop paying them anything. Okay? And do the fucking work. Like, go out, talk to your customers, see what people are saying. That's how you do market diagnosis. Observe people buying stuff. It's hard work. You cannot escape the work. You start with a blank page. And if you are unable to do that, that's a sign, my friend, that you should not start your agency. Shut up and learn first. Go work with somebody who has worked in this industry for 20 years, 30 years. Learn what they're doing. See how they are working. Ask questions from them. Calm the fuck down. Learn and actually know how to do the job. Then go ahead and provide your services as a fucking consultant. Don't just become a consultant because you've written copy for 3 years. And if you have done that, then become a copywriter. Don't become a marketing consultant. Okay. This is very pointedly to that specific consultant I worked with in 2023 end to 2024.
Name, number, address, and email ID.
This is, you know who you are, you don't know your job. It's really bad what you did. That's all.
That was the hour-long rant.
Yeah, when you said you.
What do you mean? I already clarified that I was going to.
There's
rant.
no love lost between you and management consultants.
No,
Very
absolutely
clearly.
not. As some of them are my friends, so as people, I like them. I don't know what you're talking about. I have management consultant friends.
Not anymore. And you got any recommendations to make?
Oh fuck, we had to do the recommendations, no?
I think you did mention one of the podcasts.
Yes,
that
if
people
books could kill.
I think people
That-
should listen to that, yeah.
Yes, but I do have another recommendation, a separate recommendation, right? I've been going into my rabbit hole of true crime and documentaries and also suspense shows and everything. Anything that is depressing is right up my alley. And I bumped into this really good series. It's on Netflix called the Turning Point series, right?
Yeah.
And I think it is fantastic. I saw the one with the Vietnam War and then I saw the one with the Cold War as well. And my problem with American narratives so far has been that their narratives is very up their asshole sort of narrative, right? Like they will always present as if they have done everything for the good of the world, you know? While everything that they have done has been at best an oops moment. Okay, like at best you can call it stupid, and at worst just evil, right? Whatever they have done across the globe. This documentary, the docu-series, they sort of take it and break it down into very balanced views. It still has some problems. It's still made from an American perspective. So there are still, in their interviews, people are still saying that America should not try and go and solve all the problems of the world. Yes, please. If that's what you believe you are doing, stop doing that because you are not solving anything. More than half of our problems are because of you. But it is, like, it's a very balanced perspective. They interview people from both sides who are thinking, who represent different groups. In Vietnam War, it was people who have been survivors of the war from soldiers, American soldiers, to the Communist Party and the, what was that? The Freedom Coalition, the North Vietnamese and the South Vietnam people in the government. So all of those perspectives were brought in. Then in the Cold War, perspectives of pro-communism and pro-capitalism. Everything was brought in. Of course, there is this, and I think this is a very American problem, that there is a lack of understanding of what Marxist theory actually was, and then what these megalomaniacs turned it into. Okay, Stalin and all. But it's still really balanced. So as far as I expect a Western perspective to be. So I would really recommend any of that from that series, literally any of them. 3 have come out up until now.
That was Ashmita talking about the turning point. And this is the ending point of this podcast.
How nice, Sam.